Hey, so story time. You may be wondering where I've been. You may not care. I might tell you where I've been. I may not. It's my life. I do what I want, okay? Cool. So, anyway, something really bothered me today, and I just want to talk about it. So, here we go. Okay. I went to see a new psychologist. Let me just preface, nothing to do with eating disorders, right? Okay, so I go to see the psychologist, and I have to tell him my story, my mental health background, the story that, if you're anything like me, you've told the same story to at least 80,000, slight exaggeration, psychologists, doctors, nurses, various personnel in your lifetime. And so yeah, I'm used to telling this story. I know it like that, like off the back of my hand. It's pretty traumatic, but it doesn't make me cry anymore because it's just my story, and it's just like my Wikipedia page. So anyway, I'm telling my story to Dr. So-and-so, and it never fails. I've come to the realization, it never fails that when I get to the part about my eating disorder, someone who doesn't know much about eating disorders will always ask, well, what kind? With this really intrigued look on their face, like, what do you do? And they expect me to spin this wild tale of something that will fascinate them. So, I do my best, and I can't take myself seriously. So I start to tell Dr. So-and-so about my own personal struggles, and I happen to mention compulsive exercise. Now he's really interested, and he stops me again, and he's like, wait, compulsive exercise? Well, how much exercise? And let me just pause this story for 1 second to talk about the word compulsive. For some reason, doctors, people with their freaking PhDs or whatever, MDs, think that compulsive means a lot. Now, I'm in my 3rd year of undergrad. I don't think my IQ is that much above normal, but I'm just gonna tell you guys what compulsive means, and I'm gonna pull up a definition so that we're all on the same page. Okay. So, everybody's favorite dictionary, Webster's dictionary, defines compulsive behavior is resulting from or relating to an irresistible urge, especially one that is against one's conscious wishes. Okay? Nowhere in there does it mention amount or intensity. It says irresistible urge, especially one that is against one's conscious wishes. I just read it twice to double check, okay? Okay. So now we can go back to the story. So he says, so how much? And the minute that somebody says something like that, I know I've said this before, but eating disorders are very competitive, and my eating disorder at that point was triggered. And I know people say triggered like as a joke and things, and as a term like that. But what I mean by triggered is I am constantly plagued by the thought, the idea that my eating disorder isn't valid, that it's something that I made up in my head, that it's something that I should just be able to stop, that it's something that is never really real in the first place, and it's a problem, and I don't have a problem, and I need to stop. Because, it's not normal. It's not a normal thing for people to deal with, and so many people don't understand it, so therefore I'm just making it up. So anyway, that's what I mean when I say that I am am triggered because now I feel like I'm not sick enough. I had to prove to this doctor that I just met that I'm sick enough, that I'm actually sick, that I actually did have an eating disorder, that I actually do have an eating disorder. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my thoughts start racing. And I'm like, what should I tell him? And I don't want to tell him because I'm afraid he's not going to think I'm sick enough. So he asked me, he says, how much exercise? And I said, oh, too much. And that's not enough for him. Friends, he persists. He says, no, how much? So I said, well, when I was at my worst, I was running miles a day. And he says, oh, really? That is a lot. Now I feel validated. Now I feel sick enough, so thank you. But then he says something which no two brain cells in my brain can reconcile with. He says, wow, you must have been really skinny when you were doing that. Do I have to explain the problem with what he just said to me? Dr. So-and-so, you know nothing about anything. And I will never trust you with anything because what you just said to me has made me question my entire recovery. So thank you for that. I'm dumbfounded. I was speechless. This happened earlier today. I'm still speechless. And that, my friends, concludes today's episode of Things You Just Don't Freaking Say. Have a good night.